Hi guys, how's it going? So in this video, I'm going to be going through how to use Configmap within Kubernetes. Configmap basically allow you to create an environment variable which you can use within your container or within your pod container. So it's a way to store your variable or secret. Secret is different basically, but Configmap you can basically create a key value pair that you can use within your container. So I've got 11 questions here that I need to go through, and all of them should explain how you can use Configmap better within Kubernetes. So without further ado, let's get started with the questions. So the first questions is asking how many pods exist on the system. So to check how many pods exist on the cluster, we can use kube control get pod. PO is the shortness for pod. So there is one pod in the cluster. Another way you can find out how many pods is by running kube control get PO, and you say no headers, then counts the number of record that is returned. And no header basically allow you to get rid of the header so that it doesn't return the header as part of the count of the record. So the answer is 1. The next question is asking what is the environment variable name set on the container in the pod. So this pod, we need to check the environment variable. So I'm going to use kube control get pod again, and I'm going to say the output is YAML format. And I'm going to type the return output and rep f from it, or I can just use rep f. And here I'm going to say I want 2 lines above and I want 2 lines below. So this is 2 lines above the nth, and this is 2 lines below the nth. So the environment variable name here is app_color. That is correct. The next question is asking, what is the value set in the environment variable app_color on the container in the pod? So we already have the environment variable output. The value set here is pink. So the answer should be pink. Now moving on, we are being asked to go to the web app color UI, which is this one. So this is opened in another tab. Now, if I go back, we are being asked to update the environment variable on the pod to display a green background. Note, delete and recreate the pod. Only make the necessary changes. Do not modify the name of the pod. So to follow their instruction, what we can do is edit this pod. So what I'm going to say is use kube control edit and pod. The pod name is web app color. So when you run that command, if you make your change, the new updated YAML file is going to be saved in the TMP directory. This name is going to be automatically assigned to that updated file. So now let's go and make our change. What we want to do is change the pink here for app color variable to green. So this will be green. Now save. I'm going to save it again because it's so the file has been saved here. What I want to do is recreate the pod. So I'm going to replace the existing one by running cook control, replace force. File name is this file. So when you run the replace command, the existing pod will be deleted from the namespace and a new pod will be created. So you can see that pod has been replaced now. So let's see if that pod is that pod. So that pod is running. And if I click check, everything is good. Now we can check the refresh this page. The color should be green. So that is okay. Now, the next question is related to Configmap. The question is asking how many config maps exist in the default namespace. Now, to check that, we can say control get config map. There are two config map in the default namespace. Another name for config map is CF, which is the short name for config map. So there are two CN in the default namespace. The next question is asking you to identify the database host from the configmap db config. Now to check the database host variable in this db config, you can describe the config map to get more details about it. So you can run you may have noticed I keep using cook control. I want to make my life a bit easier, so I'm going to create an alias for cook control. I'm going to call the alias as k, say cook control. So now I can use k describe cm, and the cm name is config. So the database hosts, which is this one, I believe. So the db host value is SQL 01.example.com, which is this one. So that is correct. So the next question is asking us to create a new config map for the web app color pod. Use the spec given below. Now to create a config map, if you don't want to create a manifest file, you can use an imperative command. Or what you can do is run create config map and say help to see how you can create it. So these are the list of options that you can use to create the config map. One of them is cook control create config map. The config map name and the location where you provided the key value pair that you want to create. So this will be from a file. So you can create a config map from a file, or you can create a config map from literal. I'm going to create it from literal. So literal means I'll be providing the key and value on the terminal without basically creating a key and value pair within a different file. So I'm not creating the config map from a file. I'm creating it directly on the terminal, providing the key value pair terminal. So I'm going to paste that command there. And so I'm going to go back and say config map name is going to be web app color as requested. Web app color, no, it's web app config map. This is the one. And we've been asked to provide to create a config map and provide two key value pair. One is app underscore color. The second one is app underscore order. So I'm going to copy the first one and go to the terminal. Say, okay, this is the first key value pair, app underscore color equal to dark blue. And the second one is app underscore order is equal to disregard. From equal to the key value pair. Now I can show you how this look like if you want to create it in a YAML format. I'm going to say the output here is YAML, right? And I'm going to say try run. I don't want to create it yet. Try run it to client. I just want to show you what it looks like. So if you want to use a manifest file or YAML file, this is what it will look like. So you specify the API version is one. You specify the kind is Configmap, metadata. You specify the name of the Configmap. And here you specify the key value pair, which is app color, dark blue, app order, disregard. So that's how you can create it if you are using a manifest file. So I'm going to create this config using just the command. So that config map has been created. I'm going to say take get config map. So db config has been created. Now let's check. The next task is to update the environment variable in the pod to use only the app color key from the newly created config map. Delete and recreate the pod. Only make the necessary changes. Do not modify the name of the pod. So earlier we noticed that we updated the web app color pod and updated the value from pink to green. Now, instead of providing the value directly within the pod, we want to use a config map. So config map is another way of avoiding the provision of the value, the variable value directly within the pod. So we want to hide the variable value from the pod. So that's part of the reason we create a config map. Now, if I go back to the previous command, so I need to, what I want to do is update this YAML file, which belongs to the web app color. So here we specify the variable name as app color. Now, instead of providing the value directly here, we are going to retrieve the value from a config. So here I'll say value from underneath, I'll say config map key reference, key ref. Now I will say the name of the config map we want to get the value from is um, web app hyphen config hyphen map. That's the name of the config map we created earlier. Now the key within that config map that we want to retrieve the value of is app that's called color. I'm sure you know that we provided the key value there of app underscore color equal to blue earlier. So this is where we want to, that is what we need to provide there. We are not providing the value directly. We are providing the key where we want to which we want to retrieve the value of. So key equal to app underscore color. So that's all you need to do. So anytime you need to reference a config map or get the value of a config map, so what you need to do is say value from config map key reference, the name of the config map, the key that you want to get the value of. So I'm going to save this and run same command that I ran earlier, which is to replace the existing config map. And we replace the existing pod. So now that has been created. Let's check the pod again. Is the pod still on it? So that pod is still on it. So let's check. So everything is good. Now the last task is to basically check the web UI again. You remember we are now referencing the value of the app color from the config map. So, and you remember the color we provided in the config map is blue. If I go back where we described the, I haven't described the config map there. So if I say here, okay, the color of the app color is dark blue. So if I go here, it should change the color to dark blue. You can see that that's what happened. So that is how you can use a config map within a pod. You don't need to provide the uh, value of your environment variable directly within the pod. You can reference the value from a config map. So it's one way of hiding the information and about your environment variable. So when the pod run, it's going to get the value from real time. So from runtime, I mean. So that is it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe button, leave a comment. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.